Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. I want to tell a cautionary tale about wishing somebody burn in hell, because you just might get that wish and you will regret ever having that wish in your life. In the past 2 months, 3 of my close friends have passed away, unfortunately, or 3, at one point, very close friends of mine have passed away, and all 3 of them I had wished bad things on at one point in my life, and it really hurts that at one point in my life I wished it, and I might have even told them about it. I'm going to start with a classmate of mine when I was in 6th grade. When I was in 6th grade, my classmate, I think he might have been a year older than me, he was in the playground smoking a cigarette. And I asked him for a cigarette. I was curious at the time, and he refused to give it to me. And I was upset. In fact, now looking back at it, he didn't give it to me because he was a good friend. He didn't want me to take up his bad habit. But I didn't realize it at the time. And he made me even more upset by teasing me about it, because I had sang a little jingle, "Give me a cigarette." And I wrote a little jingle, "I want a cigarette so badly," something like that. And he made fun of me by singing it to other people and laughing about how badly I wanted a cigarette, but he refused to give me one. And I was very upset at him. And he and I feuded for many years after that, actually. Now, he eventually took up other substances besides cigarettes, and he actually quit the cigarettes, but he continued with the other substances, and that's what killed him a little over a month ago now. And now looking back at it, he was a good friend for not sharing his bad habits. But we feuded over that, and it kind of spilled over to other disagreements that we had too. When I was in 3rd grade, I was in the cafeteria one day and I dropped a quarter on the floor and I couldn't find it. That was about $4 in today's money. So I was very upset. And I went to the table, sat down, and then I overheard a classmate of mine bragging about how he had found a quarter while lining up for lunch, and I knew it was mine. The lines for lunch could get really noisy. That's probably why I didn't hear him pick up the quarter. And I went up to him to confront him. After all, I did have a few witnesses to me dropping the quarter, looking for it, and not being able to find it. But he refused to give it back. And he said, "Well, finders keepers, I guess." And he refused to give it back. And so I cursed him out about it. I wished him to burn in hell, and unfortunately, a couple days ago, he had other health problems, and he died of COVID complications. He had, I think he was recovering from cancer as well, and COVID kind of put him over the edge. And then there was an ex-girlfriend of mine who, unfortunately, both her and another friend of hers has passed away. So she died in an accident a few weeks ago. We had broken up, and she worked at a Home Depot. And there was this other friend of mine we were talking about making certain chemicals for extracting gold from computer hardware. And I asked him where I could buy muriatic acid. He said, "Oh, you could buy it at Home Depot." Now, I had just broken up with the girl. She worked at Home Depot, and I think that the other guy who was extracting the gold from the computer hardware was also dating her for some time, so he knew about this. And he says, "Oh, don't go to Home Depot, then go to Lowe's." Now, the guy who was extracting the gold passed away a few years ago, and now the girl follows, and I'm the only one of the 3 left, and almost a little bit of survivor's guilt, if you will. Anyway, I kind of like it, though, that so many of my close friends are making the trip to heaven, because it makes me feel comfortable that one day when I go, I won't be alone. It's weird. It's weird. Ever since I've learned about all these deaths, I'm not so afraid of dying anymore. So, for example, you guys have been seeing my art projects. Some of them are very dangerous, and I'm not so scared anymore. And I don't work a dangerous job, but I have a good commute, and it can be scary sometimes on the road. And lately, now that I see that a lot of my friends have made that journey, it doesn't seem so scary anymore. I just accept it for what it is. But I've learned the hard way to never wish death or suffering on anybody because it might come back to bite you.